Very good. Cover that up. All right, looks like we got somebody joining us tonight. Hey guys, how's it going? Just wanted to hope everybody's having a good Friday. Might not be Friday for you anymore, but it's still Friday for me. Got a little bit going on. Hey, Tailgate Tech, how's it going? Man, I really missed hanging out with you guys. That was a great July when we all got up, got a chance to meet. But hey, we still got YouTube. That's the best that we got for now. But looking forward to meeting up again sometime. Anyways, guys, really appreciate you coming, joining my live stream tonight. Was trying to think about everything that we're going to be doing for the next week and the week after that. I'm going to be really busy because I'm heading out to SEMA next week, but wanted to get some information out. So I did do the Rockwell hardness testing this week, and that was really cool. So I don't know if you can see here all those little dents on there, a lot of glare. Each one of those little marks is a test from the Rockwell machine. There's a bunch on that one too. And so what I can definitely tell you about the icon socket, and I'm trying to figure out the format that I'm supposed to be doing this video in for it, because it's so much information. Literally, I was there for probably 45 to an hour and 45 minutes. Yeah, about an hour and 45 minutes. I had to go plug the meter to get back in. But we went through and we did 11 different sockets, Snap-on and icon. We did impact sockets and you name it. We did a couple different ratchets, things like that. So I don't know how I'm going to present that to you guys, but I can tell you without a doubt that the icon socket is definitely softer than a Snap-on socket. So what I wrote down, because again, I'm not sure how to present this to you guys, because to me, it's kind of boring, but it's definitely kind of exciting. Who do we got here? Wolverine, John Wolf. How's it going, guys? So the Snap-on socket, the number that I wrote down here after looking at the video, this Snap-on came in at 48.9 HRC, which in all actuality was a little bit lower than what I would have expected a Chrome socket to be. I would have thought a Chrome socket would have been around in the 50s. And then the icon socket, this one came in right around at about 44.8 HRC. So it was a little bit lower. The machine was calibrated within 1.5 HRC, give or take. And just to put this in comparison, if you were to look at a gear wrench, we did do a gear wrench socket. This one was tested again 3 times. So the gear wrench socket, that came in at 45.2. So in all actuality, the difference between the gear wrench and the icon is negligible, but both were definitely softer than the Snap-on. Now, the interesting part about that is it's really all relative, because the Snap-on socket sidewalls are thinner than the icon socket. So that being harder and thinner is definitely a plus to it. But the interesting thing is my older SK Wayne socket, the one that I've been using, the one that I've been putting so much stress on, believe it or not, this thing is actually wider than the icon socket, but it's also coming in at an unbelievably soft 38.5 HRC. So HRC is that hardness test, and it's all really relative. So the thickness of your sidewalls makes a big difference, but definitely the drive tang here. So you can see on this SK socket, it's completely square. There's actually no cutouts on there or drill outs to make it easier to get on and off a ratchet. So manufacturers do that. So here you can see on the icon socket, in here, in the sides, basically it's drilled out. And that drill out allows for different drive tangs to make it easier to get on and off. So my assertion of that is that the side cutouts, there's too much material that's removed there, and it actually makes a weak spot. And I can kind of see how that's consistent with the cobalt socket that I have here. Now this one I did the stress test for the ratchets that you saw tonight. So if you missed that video, we took the extended ratchets and we destroyed them, and we used the cobalt socket exclusively. And the cobalt socket has the drilled out sides, which are literally on this cobalt. If you were to take a caliper and measure that compared to the icon socket, the cobalt socket is actually wider, and it does have some weak spots in it compared to the icon, which hasn't been used as much as the cobalt socket. So in my mind, their problem with it isn't that it's too soft, because it actually falls right in the Rockwell hardness scale that the ISO or ASME standards should have for the sockets. It's truly just a problem of, to me, that they made this so it was so drive interchangeable that it made a weak spot on there. So that's really kind of what I ascertained from the Rockwell hardness test. I'll figure out how to present that to you guys. But so I always do read every single one of my comments. So if you guys comment on any of my videos and I don't get a chance to comment back to it, I did read it. So outside of looking at the things that we had, so my Stanley expandable ratchet that ended up having that drive failure on there, that one is in process with getting warrantied out through Stanley. So basically that's a phone call. You tell them what happened, what you broke, give them the part number, and they'll get you something out in 7 to 10 business days. So in 2 weeks, I should hopefully have a new Stanley ratchet. We have our new Duralast. So that's the Duralast one. And honestly, you can see the new one, it's having some problems. I literally cannot get this thing to come out of the, there we go, finally. So this one, I mean, if I was wanting to tell you guys anything, I probably would not buy this Duralast one. It's terrible. If you like tools and you like random tool reviews, Catus Maximus did a review on this and he said it was awful, and I agree with him. I would not buy this again. And I'm stuck with that one. Tailgate Tech Client Graphics, do you think the hardness is consistent throughout the entire socket or just where you test it? It's throughout the whole thing. So what I can mean by that one is I didn't booger up the icon one too much. But for instance, on this SK one, let me see if I can get this. So you can see the 3 dots there. There's also one, if I can get it, on the sidewall here, right there. And that tested out the exact same as on the back. Typically, the way the machine comes down and depresses, you want the most flat for the surface area. So this was ready to go right there, just double checking everything. Because typically, if you really, really want to get a great measurement, an absolute perfect one, you'd really like basically saw this in half, put it in a nice big plastic puck, and go ahead and do measurement testing on maybe one of these flat walls. But basically talking with the head of their engineering and material science, we basically kind of like talked a little bit about the chrome on the sockets. So we'll talk about that in a second. William Logan, how's it going? So interestingly enough, basically the Rockwell C hardness test doesn't really test anything. I believe it's 1/6 thou or 1/7 thou of an inch. And chrome typically is very, very, very thin. It's not even close to 3 thou that's on there. So basically the tip of the Rockwell hardness penetrates far enough in there. So it's equivalent to, think of like a piece of glass. If you put it on your bed that you slept on and you jumped on the middle of it, okay, it would just shatter and then you'd have glass shards all over. That's basically kind of how the socket is, because the material underneath there is softer than the chrome, and the chrome's just going to get punched right through there. So the other analogy was, think of it like if you put that same sheet of glass on your kitchen table. You can push down hard on it, it's still going to break the harder you push on it. It's just a matter of piercing through that chrome and the Rockwell hardness goes to like 7 thou on the depth when it goes in. So yeah, it's a good question. But to put the things in comparison, we did do an impact socket. This is a Harbor Freight one. This one came in at 43.9 on the Rockwell hardness. But again, the Rockwell hardness is only one portion of the whole big scale when you look at metal and how it's formed. It would really take many more different deep dives in to see the flexibility that they have on the socket, and the pure tensile strength. So while the hardness has a proportion to the tensile strength, it's really just a piece of it to see how the molecules are actually bonded inside there. There's many different other tests. Rockwell is just a small portion of it. So again, this one is slightly softer than a Icon, or sorry, the Icon is slightly softer than the Snap-on, but the Icon one's right around the gear wrench for softness. And I think if I did, let's see, the Husky was actually one of the hardest ones. The Husky socket from Home Depot came in on the Rockwell 48 or 49 HRC. So the Rockwell said that the Husky was the hardest, and the Snap-on was 48.9, and the Icon was 44.8. So it's all, again, still really relative. So again, the final thing was, I think the drilled slots in the corner to make it easier and more interchangeable with many different ratchet brands was probably the poor choice there, as that's what that to me is what is making the weak point, which this Cobalt socket was really similar to that. And that's the one that I used in the extendable ratchet test. And it has some of the same stress marks that I've seen from a couple of the other YouTubers. At what point is the sweet spot for hardness, though? Honestly, the sweet spot really is kind of where it's at. It's really in that 46 to 48, maybe 45 range, honestly. And then it's really getting the thickness of the walls to be just right, so you look at your wear and your flexibility with it. So honestly, to me, it's really about where it should be. If you're looking just purely at the Rockwell scale, they all fell in the Rockwell standards for, I believe it's the ASME spec, and I think there's one other spec. That the spec, it's so wide and vast, because the spec on it is 38 to like 52, I want to say. So it's such a big range, but yeah, everything was pretty much within spec. The Husky one. So again, mentioning comments, I do read them all. I don't always comment to all of them. We'll probably maybe make a video about returning this, because if you guys like Home Depot, everybody has their own preference. Home Depot is really close to me. It was set up shop before Lowe's, so I'm a little bit more vested in Home Depot than I am in Lowe's. But I mistreat both of them equally and go to them. Just so happened that I had the Husky to exchange out, not a problem tonight. Literally no questions asked. They gave me that new ratchet, but they have all their goodies in already for the holiday season. So they have like their 200-piece socket set in for, I can't remember, is $199 or $99. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look at my notes. But then they got a lot of their one-off items in. So good stocking stuffer things, lots of your drill bits and other one-offs. The Allen wrenches that come in the little expandable case, those are in for $10. So lots of little goodies at Home Depot. So that means that Lowe's will be getting theirs, and all the other stocking stuffers. So we got that taken care of. We got the Duralast one. I would not buy one of these. And I think that's pretty much it. Fixed my wife's remote start. Lowe's, yes, Lowe's does do the military discount. So that is definitely one of the highlights that they have there. But you definitely have to look at the items. So, I mean, I like some of the Cobalt power tools. I ended up getting the leaf blower and the weed trimmer. And then we'll see if I continue to get any more. That was one item that I'm a rigid person, so I do have a lot of rigid items. But rigid does not have a electric electric weed trimmer, so I was not able to continue down that line. They did have a leaf blower, but I was able to get the leaf blower and string trimmer at Lowe's with like a $20 off $100 purchase, and so I ended up getting it on sale for like $110. Hardness of metal is variable. The hardness of the steel, yeah, it does. The harder it comes, the more brittle it comes. So, while it is harder, when it does break, it shatters, and you truly don't want something to shatter because that's not safe. But then if you have something too soft and it just bends, well, then yeah. So, yep, it's you got to find that sweet spot, and that's why I really do feel that 45 to 48 HRC is really good. Wolverine, thanks. Yes, it did hit 7K. It's really, while I do like looking at those numbers, it's not something that I truly just focus on. To me, it's really more about you guys, and it's about the tools, and it's about talking about things, learning things, and definitely just having a different perspective on things. I mean, I think the real world at the end of the day, I was talking at work with some of the guys, and we all like expensive, big, shiny things. We like the fastest cars, we like cool motorcycles, we like Snap-on tools, you know, we like this Mac ratchet that I picked up. It's really, really sweet. The one downside on this one, and it's after the fact. Even Mac tools went to made in the USA with global materials. I mean, honestly, and it's just a sticker. So once that sticker comes off, eh, you know, yeah, I still really, really like the ratchet. I'm still really looking forward to, and I feel kind of bad because I do. The Mac guy was like, "Yeah, we were actually really interested to know what that will break at." He's like, "I don't think anybody has broken one of these yet on his truck, but he's replaced the quarter-inch one." Do any of the manuals list the hardness of their products? Would be interested to see their rating versus actual numbers. So there is typically not a lot of the products in the US that are the brands that you're familiar with. So like Gear Wrench, DeWalt, all of those tool lines don't put a lot of emphasis on that kind of marketing or a lot on the standards. But when you start branching out into different products, then you will see that. Now, Snap-on used to do some literature, which I can't even find anymore, that talked a little bit about some of that material. But again, they're truly not going to be one. JD Tech, how's it going? Appreciate you joining tonight. So, talking about the HRC for the Rockwell test, um, there's a couple different brands out there. Let me see, and you can maybe do some Google searches on it. It was, I can't think of it right now. Uh, I think it's Gador. They have some material on at least some of the ISO standards. So I I really think like plagiarism and things like that, while it is flattery, sometimes it's really tough for me to want to just pull out an ASME and just put up a chart that they have. So typically, if I can find another brand that has something, I'll look at them and compare and say, yep, those are the same numbers. They crafted it as their own. Tarek, how's it going? Appreciate the $5 holler. Thank you for that. Guys, I'm really not here for the money. I'm really just here to talk about the tools and give a little bit of knowledge, but everything is really appreciated. At the end of the day, it really truly goes back into the channel. My wife can tell you, if I was running my YouTube channel as a business, I would suck and fail at life in the sense that I've spent way more on tools throughout the lifetime and in the last year or two than ever expected, and every single penny has just been blown away. So even with, we're going to be going to SEMA next week. I'm bringing my wife with me, and yeah, the money goes, and hopefully you guys get something from it, get some knowledge. Dano's Toolbox, appreciate you joining. He's got a lot of fantastic things that he's shown that, it makes me think of my dad with some of the tools that he's shown on his channel. The good old Craftsman name, things of that nature, some of the toolboxes he's had. So I really do like that. Mrs. Client Graphics joining in. Maybe she will come out and talk. Wesley Milford, thank you. Yep, I will definitely keep making cool content. Like I said, went to Home Depot and they definitely had some of their stocking stuffers in. Yes, I do not know how to do that or say that name, but with the Campbell Soup label, really appreciate the $2 holler. Uh, that sign right up there, that is encourage others and build each other up. Really appreciate you guys all tuning in, commenting, joining my live stream. That sign back there was actually our trunk or treat that my wife put together for the kids. So if you're not familiar with the trunk or treat, think of the concept of instead of the kids going out trick or treating, you basically set up shop in a parking lot. You open up your trunk and you kind of decorate it with some things. Our theme was encourage each other and build each other up. We dressed in some construction outfits. We had some of the kids' toys there, and we handed out suckers, and they were AKA wrecking balls, kind of like swinging them around back and forth. And the kids had it. So that was my wife's idea. And at the end of the day, I think my channel and the YouTube tool community can definitely use a little support. Um, and I think everybody does in general. It doesn't just have to be the YouTube community. I mean, we all have tough, hard days. Sometimes I have a hard time talking, but we have a tough week. We have a tough life, and we don't need anything more for BS and just stuff that we don't need to deal with. Life's negative enough, and I just want to have a little positivity. Now, it might seem negative that I break tools, but I think that I break the tools in a little bit different way where I'm trying to gain some knowledge from them or glean something different about them. So, interestingly enough, this Stanley extendable ratchet that broke, this was my favorite ratchet. Now, you might say, Chris, if that was your favorite ratchet, why did you break it? Well, I didn't break the actual favorite ratchet that I had. I broke the newer version of it. So this is the newer version, which, of course, is made somewhere different than the one that I purchased nearly 10 plus years ago. Now, the one that I purchased from 10 plus years ago, I can't say where it came from. Probably came from Taiwan or something. Probably did not come from the same factory as this. But what I can tell you is that my old one has never failed me. This is one that I picked up at Walmart, and I can tell you that I was really surprised that the handle came off on this. Was not expecting it. It did finally hold up to a good number of 280, 248 some odd foot-pounds, but that handle was a bummer. Still like that ratchet. Just, it comes down to difference in quality and materials and things that you can pick up. But you guys kind of know that as well. So that one, you just have to be cautious of what you get, where you get it at, and hopefully Stanley doesn't make a bunch of bad ones. We don't need the hate. Yes, we definitely don't. We should all be here for fun. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money you have or what you have. Tools are the best. Yes, very, very well said. And I think the other part of that is it's really about the right tool that's right for your budget. Sometimes you buy a tool that is just one and done. You never ever plan on using it again. And there's great places to pick up those tools. There's other times when you're going to use something repetitively that you need a good warranty to back it up, and you might pay that premium on it. And there's other times that you find a product that is really, really good. Those are things that you want to share because those really good products don't last that long or the price goes up on them. And those are the things that we really want to find and share are the sweet spot on the tools. Get the deal before it's gone, stock up on it. That's another thing. When you find something that you really like and that really works for you and you can afford it, I would buy two of them because in this day and age, the tool that you buy today will hopefully last you a long time, but the replacement, you never know what it's going to be like. And I'm not trying to tell you to go outside of your budget and, buy two of everything, but something that's really important to you and that really, really works well, I would definitely say, and I started doing that with some of the things that I have is I buy two of them right off the bat. I'm just here to learn something new from both young and old. I have a few 22 millimeter sockets. Yeah, I have a few 22 mm sockets. I got a few actually. Like I got a little, you know what? We should look up here and see. I got random sockets. These are kind of like my leftovers that basically they don't have a full set, but they're still good stuff. And I mean, some of them are like brand new at tag. Like, you know, we got a 24 mm, but I know Dano, he's got a ton. If you've seen a couple of his videos, he's got a lot of work to do. He's come a long, long ways, but he also has a lot of collecting that he's done over the years. I wish I had some of the stock that he had. Like this one, this is a Stanley 1/2 inch drive, 1 1/8. It's a USA made one. It's like, I don't have the rest of the set. I don't truly use that too much, but somebody truly might. I mean, you know, we got a 1 1/16, but a lot of this stuff is like the Stanley USA that's in here. One of them here, like this is a goodie. Everybody needs a 1 inch and a 3/8 inch drive. I mean, really, it's a good socket to have, but I mean, how often? To me, there's a certain size where you just go with a different drive size. Flynn Hawaiian 57. How's it going? I have done that with screwdrivers. It's really hard to find a really nice screwdriver that comes with a decent price. I think it's also really, really hard to find a decent screwdriver set with a decent case or holder and then be able to keep it all together. I'm still in search of a truly good screwdriver set and holder for it that's like just not overly bulky. One of these days I'll find that. But if anybody's got any suggestions or ideas, like I always find myself putting screwdrivers not by themselves, or I have 2 or 3 that don't really go well with the holder. I wouldn't use a 1 inch socket with a 3. Yeah, I would not use. I would step up to a 1/2 inch drive, 100%. Let me go through some of my comments here. Frugal Prepper, yeah, I like the stuff that he puts out. I like seeing it tested to failure because I need to know which tools are at least likely to break my thumbs when I need to go 1/2 inch, but only have 3/8. Yeah, you know, the other funny thing about that is some people really, really dislike, you know, testing to failure. But I can personally tell you, I don't think I know another person that could probably pick up any 3/8 inch drive ratchet and tell you pretty much when it's going to break or when it's going to go to failure point. I think I'm pretty much probably the guy in the USA that right now could probably tell you just about when that ratchet's going to break. Sometimes I get a little excited, but you can definitely feel it in the ratchet handle. And I think anybody can go out there and break a ratchet. I think any machine can go out there and break a ratchet, but I don't think we've lost that human factor in it. There's only so much a machine can tell you. Some of it is still, you know, when it comes to like painting or body work or even art, there's just a certain human element that you have to have in it. And that's even the same thing with good engineering. You can have a great engineer. He can draw great things and design awesome things on paper, but in real life, it's an absolute failure just because that human element isn't there. Now I get it. One time they broke into my house and stole some stuff. That's terrible. And all my dad's tools. He was crying about the tools because he said they're expensive as hell. And like gold, that's terrible, man. Not only do you lose something that's expensive to you, it's like an invasion of privacy, and it's just an absolute loss to me. The insurance money, if you have it for like, you know, a contractor or things like that, it doesn't ever pay off. To have your tools stolen, you don't ever truly come out ahead. But it's like a loss. I mean, to me, it's almost like a death in the family or something like that. Yeah, just it's terrible. The trick is learning when you're about to break a bolt and be able to, yeah, that's definitely it. Is know when to back off or know when to choose a different tool. And some of it isn't always by hand. You know, back in the days, people didn't always use impact. They use it a lot now because it's a time saver. But I've seen a lot of people that have used the wrong tool, really boogered something up, and got into a heck of a situation. The trick is learning about, yeah. What did I miss in the chat? So anyways, I got a lot of tools, got some random ones here too. A lot of different sockets. There's even a specification for spark plug sockets, believe it or not. Everything literally has a specification. It's got a spec out there, and all of those specs that they have today came about through a minimum and a maximum. So even think about it in your daily life. We might not like a speed limit sign. We might not like seeing that school zone, but those speed limits are there, unfortunately, for a reason, in the hopes that somebody's not going to get hurt or injured, because the old saying, speed kills. Well, the reality is that driving slow can kill you too. You got to find that happy median and grow from there. So the standards that we have today, think about it in this sense. The Ford Pintos of years past, if more testing to failure would have been done on the Ford Pintos, we probably wouldn't have had the exploding gas tanks. Car accidents and the crash test that we have is a great example of a test to failure. We learn things from that and we get better. It's expensive, so people don't always do it, but you'll learn things from it that you might not. Now, the unfortunate side is that you're going to tell me, well, Chris, nobody watches your videos. Well, that's not true. A lot of people watch my videos. None of the manufacturers of your watch your videos. Well, that's not true either. I've had some of them reach out to me and say, well, how did you know this? Or what did you understand from this? Or why did you test it this way? And I said, well, your machine, when it goes through the ratchet cycling test, it does this. There's no play in it. There's no variance in it. The ratchet testing that I've set up here is truly what the real world experience is. There's no machine out there that, it's a hydraulic machine that goes through and breaks the ratchets when it does that. And it's under a pure circumstance. Nobody in the real world has a machine that is going to take that bolt off your car for you and apply pressure at the exact spots and then break. No, it doesn't do that, because that machine's going to be calibrated to take off that bolt. And if it doesn't, then you're not going to use it. So when you look at this setup, this is what people really do. And so talking to some of the ASME people, they're like, yeah, well, that's a good point, but we still have to have a standard, and not everybody has the same human element in their machine. So we have to go back to the machine testing so that everybody can be consistent with that testing, which is valid. It's fair. But at the end of the day, you and I are not machines. We aren't super consistent. Even take a torque wrench, for instance. It took me many times to get consistent with a digital torque wrench compared to the old snap one. You could just automatically know with that feedback. So that feedback is really important. And I think some of my videos hopefully give you guys feedback and different perspective of, somebody else out there. But I really did like, I don't know if you guys ever watch Garage Journal, Redemption Garage. Sorry, I am a frequenter on Garage Journal. So if you guys are not on Garage Journal, that's basically just the YouTube equivalent, but in text form, in my mind. The ratchet let go. I got the job done with the backup Craftsman and a bar, but it sucked. Yeah, I'm sorry that you had to use the backup Craftsman. I really wish I would use some of my Craftsman stuff. I got a lot of it just tucked away, and I haven't used it for years. I think there's like two different standpoints here. Redemption has a ton of great content. Yeah, I loved his I am the only tour reviewer. I could have watched literally 12 minutes solid of all the analogies he had. In my mind, it's kind of like a MacGyver meet Chuck Norris and a whole bunch of other analogies there. It was just awesome. We got some more sockets here. A lot of these are like the Craftsman. God, one of my favorite sockets was, and I don't know why, I've always thought it would be interesting to do a video and call it like the socket diaries or the socket stories of people that have broken a socket or a fastener of a certain size, and do a video on each one. So everybody's got a story it would be really hard to find like, 11 millimeter or a 20 millimeter one of somebody having an accident, but I'm sure you could find them. But to go through each socket size and put a story and a face of a problem and an issue and how they tackled it would be, going from 6 millimeter up to 21 millimeter and then even bigger. But, that'd give you a good 15 to 17 videos that you could do. You just got to find the content of somebody that had an accident with each one of those. I really thought I was going to have to unsub the channel when I saw the title. Haha. You know what? Sometimes the live streams, I really don't typically keep up. I might keep them unlisted so people that actually do subscribe to me might get a chance to go back and see them. Though these I like to have a little bit more fun, like to be a little bit more serious when we do an actual video, but we'll see. Gonna do the SEMA stuff next week, so I really won't have, not really sure what I'm going to do for content when I go out there. My wife's going to try to keep me in line. So what happens in Vegas isn't going to stay in Vegas, because we are going to hopefully put some content when we go out there. I'm really going to just specifically go out there for tools, new products, and things of that nature that are going to be put out on the market. And that's 100% why I'm going to SEMA this year, is just to look at those things. We'll probably definitely catch up at, of course, we're going to go to the Harbor Freight booth. We're going to go to the Tecton booth. We'll stop by Milwaukee, a couple of the other big names out there, just see what they got going on. May or may not do a video on them, but we're going to see what like these smaller companies, some of the underdogs, and definitely some of the tools that we need to be checking out. It was clickbait title. It took a good minute before I realized where he was going with it. Yeah, I didn't really know where I was going with it either, but really it was kind of about Duralast. They got that swapped out today. Got the Husky swapped out. Hey, honey.
I was just going to say hi.
Well, come on and say hi. And then, yeah, just pretty much what happened this week. I actually honestly can't even remember what my title. Honey, do you remember what I even called this? It's actually late.
I was just going to say hi. What are you talking about?
Dude, what did I call the title of this? I can't even remember. Oh, tools we tested and warranty swapped this week. Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought it made sense.
Welcome to Chris's live stream. He's not sure what he's talking about, but that's okay.
Oh, talking about the redemption. Oh, yeah, I didn't know what that one was either until I started watching it. I totally clicked on that, and I totally enjoyed, the 10W40 pumping through his veins. Actually thought he was going to say something different about, what he talked about his mom, and all I can think of is how my wife fed our children, and was very interested in where that was going to go.
Oh.
Talk about, yeah. So good stuff. Tonight, I think we are drinking the Wicked Grove.
This is the
hard cider from Aldi.
This is the Aldi special. It was on the end of the little register this week, and I just jumped on my register, and so I bought it.
And then our backup is Shock Top. So that is basically our wheat beer with a little orange. I like that one. How much is the wifey going to let you buy from things you see at SEMA? I don't know. That's funny.
That's a really good question. I really just want to go to a show at some point. So
yeah,
I guess it's a give and take. So hopefully I can see a show, and I guess I won't ask too many questions about what he buys, because he's probably going to do it anyway. So
it's actually really funny. Like, I was coming back from Home Depot, looking at all the stocking stuffers and Christmas items that they had, and was thinking, what should we do for a video on that, and how should we talk about that? And I was like, you know what? We're going to talk about, but I'd probably have to run it by my wife and say, going through all the items, last year I bought my wife 4 vacuum cleaners, and
throughout the year, not all at the same time.
Not all at the same time, but she got literally like 2 at Christmas, give or take. You got the robot vacuum cleaner and something else.
I don't know. I really like all of the vacuums I own, though.
And so some people might think that they're going to be in the doghouse when they buy their wife a vacuum cleaner. But if your wife asks for a vacuum cleaner, you get your wife a vacuum cleaner. My wife, we were looking at her van and said, well, she needs a new van. So we bought her a new van. Then it comes to me when there's something I want.
He buys it.
I usually end up telling my wife after I bought that, and I really need to get better at telling her before. It's going to be the same answer. Yeah, that's okay. Did you really need it? I'm going to try to justify it, but I'm going to get it anyways. So, moral of the story, happy wife, happy life. But you guys all knew that. What do you need a vacuum for? I don't.
Everything.
I don't need the vacuum cleaner.
One for each level of the house. One for just the kitchen. One for carpet.
So funny
One
story.
handheld.
We actually broke 2 vacuums because we pretty much were overusing it. I mean, we have 5 kids, so they make a large mess, and sometimes I make a mess myself. So we got basically a vacuum for each floor, and then one separately for the kitchen, and then we ended up getting that, what was it, that Bauer vacuum cleaner.
Oh, my handheld one?
Yeah, she
The
actually
red one?
likes that one.
Oh, yeah.
I really do have envy every time I look at the Ryobi one, because the Ryobi one has like a holder that you can put on the wall and put your basically little shop vac slash Swiffer slash whatever that little vacuum cleaner is. Looks like a little Hoover Dirt Devil.
Well, I have a lot of messy eaters, and I do let my kids eat in the car. So I like having my handheld one because I can bring that out and the kids can even use that one. I mean, I have one that does my stairs the best. I have a robot vacuum, so at night, if I don't want to run the big vacuum because the kids are in bed, I just pick everything up and press start on my robot vacuum. And that I will say this, Chris got me that for Christmas, and I was like, I don't think I need a robot vacuum because that's not one that I wanted. And I was like, you should take this back. We don't need a robot vacuum. But actually, everybody needs a robot vacuum. It's my favorite vacuum and gift I've ever gotten. It makes life really easy because I like to pick up and tidy when the kids go to bed, but I don't always like to run the vacuum while they're asleep. But my little robot vacuum, he can run in the middle of the night. It's the best. You should definitely buy a robot vacuum.
Flying Hawaiian said he's got the Dyson ball one for pets. So he's probably got the purple one. We have the yellowish one. Yoda Doug in the house. His family runs a vacuum store. That's amazing. Now, we don't even sell robot vacuum cleaners. They would be all right for old folks. Yeah, we have which is the vacuum cleaner store that's just up the street? Oric, yeah. We have an Oric store that's really, really close. And my wife actually bought 2 vacuum cleaners for the sorority house that she helps manage and upkeep of the property on there.
Yeah, now I want one.
And honestly, when you spend that extra amount of money on a good vacuum cleaner, it should last a lot longer. And then, well, you might think it's funny to service the vacuum cleaner. It's actually like really important to do that kind of thing.
I really like to cut the hair out of the vacuum that my vacuums pick up.
Riker vacuum cleaners only. Yeah, that's kind of neat, Doug. I'd love to see, somebody talk a little bit about that. I honestly don't ever search for that on YouTube, but I mean, that could be some stellar content. I mean, I always tell my wife all the time, it's like, you read to the kids and we love Thomas the Train. You literally need to make a channel to that and just put Thomas the Train stuff on there. I wonder if the Riker vacuums would go the same way.
Just vacuum?
Yeah.
Just a video.
Seriously.
Vacuuming. Yeah, my mom owns a monogramming machine, and Chris has told my mom several times, you need to just record the machine, like in the needle doing the stitching, and just post it online and let people watch it. Because I love watching things like that, or like power washing videos. I could just watch that all day.
Rodney, how's it going? Appreciate you joining in. I saw you earlier on Justin Dow's stream when it was up. Eddie D, the garage looks cold. Yes,
it's so cold.
It is cold. Let me see what the temperature is.
It's 35 outside right now.
Yeah, it's 35 out.
It's probably like at least 50 in here. I also am just wearing this coat. I'm wearing shorts, socks, and a coat. I just came out to say hi. I actually need to do a lot of things.
I know.
But I wanted to come say hi.
Okay. Thank you, honey.
All right.
All right. Love you. Yeah, we'll probably, go ahead and take that. I probably should have this shock top anyways. 37 still in Missouri. Oh, yeah. So if you are in Missouri, Andy, you probably are, 6.5 hours from me, give or take? but yeah, it's definitely. We thought it was going to snow for Halloween this year, but it ended up not snowing, which is good because the kids got way too much candy and everything like that. Did I remember your wife's name right? Amy. Amy is my wife. Her name is Amy. Amy. Let's see, Eddie D. How many children you have? I have five kids. You close? Yes, I am. I am close. I am there. So actually, we'll go back to something that we talked about earlier, since Doug wasn't here. So this is the icon socket, and you can see these little dimples down here. What that means is this went through a Rockwell hardness tester, and what it came out to be was, for the icon socket, was 44.8 HRC on the Rockwell hardness tester. We did have certification pucks, um, and those were done at like 31.1 and 60. I can't remember, 60 something on the other one, and they were in within 1.5 plus or minus, which was accurate for what the puck should be, and the machine was accurate to what I would expect it to be. And so that one came in, and we did test that at the University of Nebraska Lincoln Engineering Department of Science and Material, and it was fascinating. I have to figure out how I'm going to put the content together. And so we talked about this earlier, that the hardness doesn't mean in everything, because this is the SK Wayne socket, and we even did a side dimple on that one, and that one came in at 38.5 HRC. So that was actually the softest, but the spec on, I believe it's the ASME for these, are 38 to 52 HRC. And then the snap-on socket, so we did this one, sorry, 6 times. So the snap-on socket was 48.9 HRC. And then to put that in comparison, the Harbor Freight impact socket was 43.9, and then a Tecton socket. So that one was kind of cool. I didn't talk about that one. So we did the Tecton socket. Tecton was 45 HRC. The gear wrench came in at 45.2. So Doug, the last thing that I wanted to talk about on those is, so the sockets, this is the Cobalt one. So you can see here in the corners, it's drilled out and it's not completely square. Whereas if you were to look at like an older, like this Stanley socket, it's 100% square. And like this snap-on socket here, well, it looks like it's kind of rounded out in the corners. If you're actually to take a digital caliper and measure that, it's really going to be around 13.00 millimeters. Where if you come in, you were to measure, so yeah, the snap-on, that one from here to here on my caliper test was 13 millimeters, where the icon socket from end to end here was about 13.33, and the Cobalt one was 13.38 or 4. And here, I don't know, it's really hard to see, but that one was used in the extendable ratchet test, and you could see how it was putting stress on the corners because the lack of material in there. So I think Harbor Freight probably removed a little bit too much material from there, because it's really actually in the sweet spot. Technically still within spec, maybe a little bit on the soft side, but technically not. Curious to know, does the Rockwell test affect the structural integrity of the socket? So that's a good question. The fact that it's just a little piercing on the bottom here, no. It does pierce the chrome on there because it does a depth of around 5 to 7 thou, or actually you need a piece of material that's at least 7 thou. So give or take, you're going to do your indentation around 7 to 8 thou. So it pierces it. The chrome will be pierced. Is it really that big a deal? No. Chris, do you remember a channel, Charlie Ott? He took down all of his content. He had hardness files and torque meter. Yeah, see, I thought about doing the hardness file, but I really couldn't get a baseline on it. So it would have been really cool. But the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, you know, I talked to basically their department head, and he said, anytime I want to go down there, just send him an email, give him a call. So basically, I got an open invitation to a Rockwell hardness tester whenever I want to. I just got to find the time. Yeah, which I don't always have a ton of time, but definitely really, really cool. Yeah, it's too bad. I really did want to buy some hardness files, but again, that baseline was really, really. I just couldn't do it. I thought about it over and over, and yeah, I couldn't do it, Doug. I really did want to. Gotta love the lake effect here. Yeah, yeah, that happens. Right. Where are you located in Michigan? Detroit. My mom lives up north with the snow. Yeah. So basically, that was it for the Rockwell. I may circle back with that. I got to figure out. At the end of the day, it's within spec, so it's really all relative. I think they basically removed too much material from that. Doug, there is the Made in America with global materials on that Mac. It's a sticker, so no stamp, no deep markings. Thought that was kind of interesting, but really didn't showcase that in the video. How's the hand? Oh yeah, the hand. Uh, it's it's healing up. You can see that it's definitely some nice pink tender skin, but we're all good on that. Very nice ratchet. Yes, it truly is. I really fell in love with this ratchet just looking at the ones on the truck, and we'll see. The rebuild kits for it are kind of expensive, but the Matt guy, he was really, really cool. He was just as interested as I was to see what that's going to break at. So I'm really excited when we do get a chance to do that. But it probably won't end up being for another week or two since we're doing SEMA next week. We'll figure out what we have a chance to get put out. And that's pretty much about it, guys. The rest is, you know, we just take it as it comes. We enjoy life, have a couple beers. I really, really do like the wheat beers. So this is the Shock Top. The other one, Tailgate Tech, would probably be a Boulevard Wheat. So that is, I think, in your neck of the woods, or is that Kansas City? I can't remember. There's some good beers in St. Louis. Actually, there's a lot of good beers all around. Casey, yeah, that's I kind of get the two confused. I think there's a good St. Louis beer. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. Have you ever had the Pyramid? I don't think I have. Let me write that down. I'll have to research. You know, I should come more prepared. That's one thing I did not. I brought this little tablet that I wrote all my numbers down from when I did the HRC testing and went back on the video. Oh, yeah. So speaking of HRC, that's a good one. Okay. So, you know, I always like to prove things. Everybody can talk about this being the channel lock being just like the icon. Well, they all match up, they all line up, but the HRC test really does line up too. So the icon wrench for the HRC was 46.6, and the HRC Rockwell for the channel lock was 46.9. So these literally, even if we did like a micro hardness test or, you know, started to dissect it and look at how the grains are in the metal, they would probably come out exactly the same. So it was really interesting to see the HRC on these line up. So I really have no doubt the channel lock have held up really, really well. So I have no doubt that the icon wrenches, those flat wrenches, those will hold up really, really well. The other things that we did test, I don't have all the numbers on them in front of me, but the older Stanley one, believe it or not, lined up with the Mac Expert. So the Mac Expert is basically like the equivalent of Blue Point for Snap-on. and the Stanley wrench that I had lined up pretty much exactly with that Mac Expert. So that was kind of neat to see. Again, the SK and the Craftsman I had, they were kind of a surprise. But I think sometimes the HRC, the Rockwell hardness test for like the smaller ratchet or smaller wrenches. So I did like a 10 millimeter or something like that. I don't think they treat those with the same, how should I say, hardness or treatment that they would a larger socket or wrench, because you're just not going to put the same amount of force on them. Oh, what do we got here? They said we might vet snow yesterday. Yeah, they said we were supposed to get snow on Halloween day too. We never ended up getting it. I think he just left. Well, gentlemen, I have to run. Dano, really appreciate you joining in. Thank you, sir, for joining me tonight. So, guys, do you have any other questions? Things coming up, things that I might do? I can always talk a little bit. So here's an interesting one. And I'm going to go out on a limb until I get one. So this is the power belt. So the power belt on this one, believe it or not, the head on this really, really reminds me of the Napa Carlisle one that I have. But the Napa one has a locking mechanism here. But I'm really interested. I want to go in my spare time, want to go pick up one of the Napa 3/8 of these. And honestly, there's a little plastic cover under there. You can snap that off. There's a little snap ring in there. It's very, very difficult, but you can take it out and actually remove the whole innards of this. But it really, 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 really seems really close to a Napa Carlisle design. So I'd be interested to see how close those line up. But speaking of that, so I did do a review on the Capri ratchets. Now, there was somebody that commented on my review of that. It goes by Fed Wrench. Now, Fed Wrench is pretty much a great person that has a lot of tool knowledge in the garage journal community. And I don't take anything he says with a grain of salt. And he mentioned that to him, the Capri stuff looked a lot like Power Built. And I would have to agree with him. So the Capri tools, a lot of them or some of them really do look like rebranded Power Built stuff. So just being honest there, when we look at those tools, if you really, really want to do some research or some comparing or some digging, you might see that Power Built has a lot of influence or design on them. JD Tech, have a good one. Appreciate you joining in. At SEMA, I don't really have anything in particular. I mean, I'm gonna definitely hit up the known brands. I'm gonna do my Harbor Freight. I'm gonna do my Tecton. I'll stop by the Milwaukee, and then I'm gonna have to see what else is out there. I honestly don't know what's all out there. I've never been there. I really have to do the homework on the booth, but I'm really kind of interested. So I was able to get in as media press. So I do have the ability to go and do some tours and things on Monday. And then I get into, what is it? There is the new product launch as well. So we'll see what's there. I can recall from previous years. So Motive X, they're the ones that do the swivel that has springs in it that are spring loaded, and they were at SEMA years past. So they were at the new product launch. So we'll see what's there. Client graphics, what is your favorite trade to work on, i.e. electrical, mechanical? It's probably going to definitely be, I mean, I'm good at electrical because my dad was an electrical engineer and I did electrical engineering in college. Mechanical and electrical are probably two really, really good things that I'm good at. My grandpa, he owned a blacksmith shop in a small town, and my uncle still owned that today. and I want to get up to that shop and I want to do some videos of the machinery that they still have in it, because at one point in time they did do basically fabrication. They did steel and metalwork fabrication for a couple trucking companies, Great Dane in particular. Let's see, Matco just got some of the spring swivels. They did. So I do have to do my video on those, and that will be something that I am going to have to bring up in there. So that's the one thing. Yeah, it's really interesting. So they did get the spring swivels, and I would like to do a comparison on those. I just don't have a Matco truck around. We'll see. If I really get lucky, I'll find one of these days. But it's one of those things. There's so many other things out there. The spring swivels, I already got some from Motivex, and Motivex. I think the last time I looked, they had the 3-piece set on their website. It was sold out, but I can tell you that they would have to be a lot cheaper. The Motivex ones are probably like, God, what were they? $29.95. I can't even remember what the Matco ones are. I think they're almost a lot. Um, that would be kind of cool. I try to really get my own stuff for the most part. I mean, even Doug will tell you, 57 on their website. Yeah, see, then the Motive X ones are like 29.95 or something like that. It'd be really interesting to compare them. I can tell you, if they have the little hex on the side, basically you unscrew that and there's just basically like a spring with two little ends on it that go in there. I wanted to give Junk from work, so he did a review after I did, and he reviewed the whole set. He went and did like a rust test on the sockets, and I really wanted to message him, and he's like, "Chris, you did a great job on it. You pretty much covered everything." And I would agree. I did cover a lot of things. I took the ratchet apart. The one thing I didn't do is I didn't take apart the swivel. And I thought it was really funny that he didn't get a chance to do that, because I was kind of like, man, I totally biffed that one and I should have done that. So when I do get a chance to do the review, I will take it apart and do the swivel on it. There is a Japanese one with the spring that I think is 20 or 30. Yeah, you kind of got to look around. I think a lot of them come from a company called Triangle Tools. I think they're the ones that have the patent on it. So I could be wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of the anti-slip grip on the sockets and the nano ratchets. That might be it. But I don't know. It really looks like it probably comes from Triangle Tools too. JD Tech, thank you for the $4.99 hauler. I will definitely put it to good use. Who knows? Maybe I will pick up those Matco things. I don't know. We'll just have to see. But definitely appreciate you mentioning that, because that is true. There's a lot of little things that we think of, so many different things. We want to do videos for things. We just truly do not have the time to get to all of them. So that's why these live streams are really kind of fun. They're just like, basically, to me, they're like a brain dump. Well, I want my brain. So some people come on their live streams and they like to listen to music. They like to engage with the people that are in the chat. And they like to do lots of different things. I like to think of it as, how can I do a brain dump so I can go to bed? Everybody has their own things that they do before their bedtime for their routine, whether it be flossing their teeth, who knows what. Maybe they like to take a shower every night, things like that. I like to make sure I get everything out of my mind. And so I have so much going on with the fact that we need to pack for SEMA. Got done at Home Depot swapping out this ratchet. So somebody commented in my comments, they're like, yeah, good luck with swapping out that ratchet at Home Depot. And I'm like, by golly, tonight's the night. I'm going to run to Home Depot. I'm going to do a video on that, and I'm going to just show them how easy it is to swap out the ratchet at Home Depot. Well, probably not going to do the video on it because I have so many other things to do. But assuming that they have the product in stock, it really is that easy to swap out things at Home Depot. And would I buy everything at Home Depot? No. Would I buy this again at Home Depot? Yeah, maybe. I would definitely pick this over the Duralast one any day. But now I own 4 of them, 5 of them technically. Yeah, I don't know. Wish I could really just get rid of this Duralast one. It's already, like I said, there. It literally locks. Yeah, see, it locked up. The ball detents are just terrible on this thing. It's just god awful. Like, this was the worst thing. And the thing is that Apex Tools puts out that stuff. Apex Tools makes this same one for Husky, except for the Husky one's $32. The Duralast one's like $22.99 or something like that. And they definitely cheaped out on that one. Shame on AutoZone for doing that, but whatever. They gotta. So everybody's got their own place where they get parts and things like that. I do buy, so for like my personal car and things, I buy my brakes from AutoZone. I usually buy the semi-metallic, but typically it's the ceramic ones. I just get better wear out of them, longer wear out of them, and I have less brake dust. The one thing that I've always had really good luck with AutoZone is that it's literally like buy one, get 2 or 3 free, because you literally bring your old pads in once they're worn out, and they will give you another pair of brakes at AutoZone. Advanced Auto does not do that. Napa doesn't do that for me. O'Reilly's doesn't do that for me. But AutoZone literally warranties their Duralast brakes. They have for me anyways. I mean, I could be wrong, but it's a lifetime warranty on brakes. I kid you not. Yes, they do warranty it for me. I'm just being honest. Like, I literally called all around because I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I bought my brakes when I redid the calipers on my last car, and I ended up buying them at Rock Auto, and I should have bought them at AutoZone because my wife's and my daughter's car were all at AutoZone, and they've replaced them for me. Yep, and it's not like a crack. It's not like, the metal backing rusted or a bracket or something. No, it literally is worn down. I may have to try that next. I mean, definitely, it is the truest definition of consumable. I mean, I would love to get the guy that replaced those for me on camera, but I don't know. At least definitely give him a call and double check that. I mean, but I'll tell you, that's been my experience with AutoZone. Ooh, I need to plug in my battery. Hold on real quick. Oh, oh, there we go. Whew, we made it. Almost had the battery go out on the laptop. Got very, very lucky there. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, um, if you don't have it, oh, shoot, I'll probably have to look for it or post it. There is a coupon that I know. I'll go back and look, but it's $30 or $7 off a $30 purchase or more, and it's good till January of 2020. So you have like 2 more months. So if you know that you're automatically going to buy something there, say your brake pads, the higher end full ceramic ones, they're well over $30. So you're getting $7 right off the bat for it. So I'll have to look for that and figure out how I can post that. Actually, I can try to see if I can do that right now. It's just one of those things. I mean, if you're going to spend money and you're going to go somewhere and somebody's got a coupon, sure as hope as heck that you can find it, because nobody wants to pay more for something. And the worst thing, so even Harbor Freight, I'll tell you. So I bought all those sockets and all the tools before they came out, and some of them I got a better deal on it. Some of them I didn't. So like the 3/8" drive deep sockets, I paid the $39.99 for it. Well, the coupon came out, and typically Harbor Freight only does the price match for some people are 14, some are 30. Everybody's really different on them, but I basically just went and bought a new socket set at $19.99, and then used my old receipt to return the ones that were $39.99. And I would have bought the SAE ones if they had them in stock, but they didn't. So I pocketed my 20 bucks, and I will continue to look out for the SAE ones when they come out. I have a question on a project that I'm working on. It's a toilet paper holder, 2 feet tall, trying to figure out how to raise the next roll out. Don't know what kind of spring to use. That's a good question. Could you make one? Oh, hey, Antonio, how's it going? Looks like he joined us. That's a really good question. Rodney, I don't know if anybody in the chat can help you out with that one. I am not, so tailgate tech, a leaf spring maybe. I'm not a spring expert, and I wouldn't even know. I would have to call around to some machine shops and see. I don't even know where I would go for a type of spring that I'm trying to think of. There we go. 281 new edge. It's true. They do warranty the pads. Didn't believe my friend when he told me about it, and he went in and did it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. AutoZone warranties their brake pads. I've literally done it myself, and I will continue to buy my brake pads as long as they continue to give me free replacements for the life of the one that I bought. Now, it is a catch-22 because not everybody keeps their car as long as I do. Not everybody keeps their car as long as Antonio, Claudio, Michael, who's in the chat again tonight, even Tailgate Tech. I mean, if you're going to keep your car, I would say for 2 or 3 years, you're almost literally going to be in for at least a front brake pad change. Everybody drives a little differently. I think 20 to 30,000 miles is fair to have it looked at. I think I got about 28,000 on my last pair. My wife barely gets 20, 15, and she's got a heavy brake foot. Let's see. Antonio, I'm not doing too bad. Joe Smith in the house. Joe Smith here, trying to fall asleep. Joe Smith will listen till he falls asleep. Joe Smith, thank you. That's basically kind of what my live stream is. It's like a brain dump of everything that happened this week, and then I can go to bed clear of mind. Then I don't have to write it down, anything like that. Had some of my vehicles well over 20 years. At Client Graphics, thank you for the idea. I had to connect the lid to a bottom inside and then lift up the lid. All right, so 133 on the Prius. Wow, that's pretty good. I have 130 on the Tahoe. I think they are every 7. Wow. Yeah, so I mean, everybody's different on when they need to change their brake pads, but again, that's the one thing. And I really kind of do shop around. Like O'Reilly's, I never buy the Power Torque tools. I typically will not. Power Torque, they got some neat looking tools, but that's it. I typically don't buy tools from O'Reilly's. I used to buy a lot of Duralast at AutoZone, not so much anymore. The change to Apex tools, don't do that a whole lot. I bought a lot of stuff at Advanced Auto when they had the gear wrench. They don't do the gear wrench anymore. It's that Tech Correct. Don't really like that too much. But yeah, so thankfully stuff like Harbor Freight's getting some new stuff in. I got to do frequent 2 other. Yeah, it reminds me. We have a place called Titan Tools, and they do a lot of Gray's pneumatic. They have a big old 3/4 inch impact socket set, both in metric and SE. It's like $400. Thinking about doing a review on that, or at least checking it out. And it's probably got to be one of the biggest 3/4 half-inch drive 3/4 that I've seen. I think it's like 23 sockets or something like that. I don't know. It comes in like a big, big blue case. It's so ginormous. I think it literally says like have 2 people lift it or something like that. I don't remember. It kind of cracked me up when I saw it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's about all I got going on. SEMA next week. Finish this week up. A lot of new ideas. We'll probably get a Home Depot stocking stuffer one because Home Depot's got their stuff that's coming in the store. Sunix Master 3/8. Yeah, I want to do. So we're probably gonna do a 3/8 inch drive ratchet part 3. I got to get part 2 out of the way first. Got a lot of good brands in that. Got some Milwaukee. I got a Milwaukee socket set sitting behind me in the box. So when I do the 3/8 inch square Milwaukee set review, then you'll know that I'm getting really close to doing the 3/8 inch drive strongest ratchet. Well, that part one did really, really well. It, it's not the most important thing to me in the world because it just isn't. Jason Meeks in the house. How's it going? Antonio, yeah, I did get your email. Sorry, I didn't get back to you. Don't feel bad. I didn't get back to literally anybody and everybody, not just you. There was some company that wanted to give me a free vacuum cleaner to review, and I'm like, no, I'm not a vacuum cleaner channel to review. I might have bought my wife 4 vacuum cleaners last year, and she might really want another vacuum cleaner, but I'm not going to most likely review a vacuum. If I do, then you can say I sold out to make my wife happy, but I'm probably not going to do a vacuum cleaner review. I can tell you, I think I've really hit my sweet spot when I do a ratchet breaking torture test. I think people really do like those. I kind of like them. But yeah, Antonio had sent me an email talking about Matco. I don't have a Matco truck that I've literally, I don't know. I got to find a Cornwell truck too. I'd really like to do that. I actually haven't seen a Cornwell truck, haven't seen a Matco truck. I saw the Matco truck or the Mac truck. So I knew that there was a Mac dealer because I've seen the Mac truck every now and then just driving around town, never like in a spot that made sense. So I didn't really kind of know their route. But my guy, he was really, really cool. I actually just messaged him on Facebook and said, hey, I'm in this part of town. Would you ever stop by? And he's like, I won't be able in that area for about 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, where could I come meet you at? And he's like, I'll be here and here. And if I'm not here, I'm sorry. I'll be at your area in 2 weeks. And I was like, okay. And he was there. And he's like, come on. So I couldn't not buy anything from him that day. I just felt bad. I really think, yeah, nobody does Mac. Um, I really actually kind of did like it. Now, would I go on there every day? I actually had some of the guys at work tell me, they're like, if the drill bits would be reasonable and they would actually be on a consistent route, they would probably think about buying the drill bits alone because they warranty even everything down from a quarter. And you kind of almost can't beat that. I mean, when you think about the price of some of those drill bits when you buy them in the singles and you know that you're going to break them, even think about it in the sense it's not a matter of if they're going to get dull. I know you can sharpen them, but if you can warranty him out and he's not going to care, I mean, you really can't beat that. I mean, I did pick up, what did I do? I was needing some, and I shouldn't have bought them because I know I had some in my dad's tools, but they had basically the extra long drill bits. And I picked up some of the new, I think they're like 6-inch long Hercules drill bits. They were really sharp. They were really nice. I got a chance to pull them out to some of my old USA made drill bits. They really looked the same. They had a lot of the fluting the same. It really looked kind of like a clone. It was sharp. It was nice. It was cheap. Got the 30% off. It worked out. Yeah, really, still again, really do hear about that Mac. I don't know. I think really you don't hear about the Mac so much anymore since Stanley bought them. And basically they kind of went a different direction since Stanley kind of absorbed them. I mean, it was kind of nice that they had all the Stanley brands on the truck. It was kind of interesting. I didn't expect to see Gear Wrench on there. That was actually a real shock for me. But hey, it was on there. If you review a vacuum, I'm gonna call you a suck up. Yeah, I would call me one too. I've gotten like some LED light ones. It's really hilarious. I don't even look into them typically, but the vacuum cleaners earned a lot of brownie points with my wife. So when I hear like something about the word vacuum, I'm like, oh, that's a good warm fuzzy feeling because it made my wife happy. A lot of trucks won't warranty drill bits, especially down to quarter. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. Let's see. The last time I was on a Mack truck, it was full of t-shirts, hats, pocket knives. He was selling everything but tools. Yeah, it's kind of hard to run a tool business if you're selling everything. You guys are still going cool. Yeah, thanks, Dano. I thought you were gonna go, but welcome back. I don't know. So, what do you guys got going on this weekend? I mean, if it's as cold as it is here, the only thing that I'm going to be doing is probably a couple leaves before we have to leave for Vegas. We're going to have some cold weather when we're in Vegas, so that'll be exciting. But yeah, we have a bunch of cold weather, so the trees have dropped all their leaves, and thankfully, we don't live in our old house that we did about 5, 7 years ago. We literally would have, I don't know, it'd probably take me 3 days straight of 8 hours if I wanted to get all the leaves up. And it would be probably 80 some paper bags of leaves in our new house. While I do miss the trees, I do not miss doing all that work. I had to grab a burger. Yes, I love burgers. There was another guy, Robert, in Jay Young's stream and channel. He was able to send me the Snap on Burger Press. I missed out on that one, but I really, really do love burgers. Clean in the basement and get the puppy groomed. That's a that's a treat. We don't have pets here. My wife, we have too many kids, so no dogs, no cats, no nothing. I never owned a speed bore bit or any other brand. I speed bit. I'm I'm probably partial. I like my Milwaukee. I'm pretty good with those. It's cold in, oh my gosh, Antonio, I think it's colder in Arizona than it is. Let me double check before I say that. Yeah, it's 34 here. So that's funny that it's colder in Arizona. Taking care of my kiddos and my injured dog. Well, I hope they all get better. Yeah, it's not too often that you're going to have colder weather in Arizona. But you're always going to definitely have cold weather in Nebraska. You can have 27 degrees one day, and you can have 81 and raining, and then you can turn around and have 29 and ice and snow. Milwaukee self-feeding for the big bits. Irwin are good for all around. Yeah, I got some Irwin ones too. I would not buy. So it's really funny. I was at Home Depot. I was also talking to my friends at work today, and we were again talking about the Mac drill bits, and then somehow we brought up Ryobi. And I can tell you that in my younger days, man, I bought some Craftsman set, I bought some Ryobi, and I thought I was just getting a good deal with like the $20 or the 14.99 for 200, like a 200 piece bit set. And now that I look back and I'm like, I have half of them missing, half of them are rusted out. I don't think I would ever buy one of those big sets again with the stuff that I do. I just don't do it. I'd probably buy better. I like, yeah, I like my Milwaukee bits. I've really had good luck with those. Some of the Makita ones are pretty good too. We had light snow early this morning. We haven't had snow since that other day. That was like a Monday or so. The Ryobi massive bit sets don't hold up at a wall. Yeah, they don't. And they come in this nice big old plastic case that half the time you break off one of the little legs or arms on them. And, it's a good deal if you don't have anything. It's a good deal if you're a homeowner and you're going to use them once or twice. But the second you try to drill into anything that is of substance, you try to go through some, I don't know, we'll say a 16th inch metal here or there. You're good if you're going through a pop can. But I mean, some of my quarter and 3/16, no, it's so much work. Just not worth it. Drill bits are tough. I love the DeWalt and the Pilot points, but you can't find them anywhere. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I've seen those for a long time. And I know my Titan tools, they're a DeWalt distributor. And they can get a lot of things, but I don't see those stocked. Yeah, that's the one thing. I know there's a lot of DeWalt people out there, but I was really disappointed. I didn't have a lot of people that watched that DeWalt video, but I also didn't stick the ratchet torture test until like the middle of it. But our Titan tool, speaking of DeWalt, like they have literally a wall of chrome sockets in singles, as well as the flat wrenches and a couple other things. I don't think I've seen anybody on YouTube do a whole bunch of videos on like just walls of single sockets. So like that was one place that I could think. Menards has a pretty good one. Home Depot, it's okay. I think their stuff is kind of cluttered when I look at their socket organization, and it seems like it's too consumer based at Home Depot. Everybody always puts the wrong socket and the wrong wrench in the wrong spot. Just my 2 cents on that, but I'm a little OCD on some of those things. JD Tech, appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for liking, commenting, your super chat. Really appreciate it. Enjoy your Matco truck. I don't have one of those, but maybe one of these days again, I'll search them out. If I do a part three, which it's most likely looking like I will, I will probably try to get a Matco ratchet that we will do the torture test on. Lowe's, I was finding the Cobalt and Craftsman in the last few weeks for singles, Chrome and Impact. Yeah, ours. Yeah, I did do a video. That's right. When I did that Craftsman video, I did do when they started launching that in Lowe's. They did have. I do like their drawers. I must admit, for their socket organization where it pulls out. I mean, it feels like a toolbox. They're decent heavy duty drawers. 9 times out of 10, it feels like people put the stuff in the right place at Lowe's. I do find them out of place every now and then, but yeah, that they don't just have to showcase that wall of chrome because they're in the drawers. But yeah, you're right, they do once you open up those drawers. Taking my Mustang apart for the supercharger install, very very nice. Is it like a 5.0 that you're taking apart? Agree, the single sockets and wrenches, the drawers are nice. Yeah, yeah, I do like that. I know sometimes it's not necessarily about it's just the showcasing of the way that they present their tools that give you that appeal. It doesn't mean I'm going to buy them. I mean, there's many times I can tell my wife I'm going to go into the hardware store and I'll be gone for 3 hours if I really don't look at the time. It's just amazing, and it's like the same stuff, but I still continue to look at it, think about the new projects that I'm going to do. I mean, you guys commenting about the things that you're going to do this weekend. I mean, they don't all have to be projects that are related to tools. It's just another stepping stone that gets us to another day, really gets us to, kind of the theme that we had back there, which is really encouraging each other and build each other up. That's why I really do appreciate everybody tuning in, commenting. Andy, you've been here pretty much since the second I started my live stream. You're the first one in here. You've been hanging out literally for 90 minutes. Really, really do appreciate that. Antonio, I haven't seen you around for quite a while. We had Yoda Doug in here. Rodney, we had Dano. He ran out for a bite to eat. Jason Meeks is in here. I mean, just so many different people. I mean, we got like 29 people. Joe Smith was going to fall asleep. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I know I've listened to my wife talk and I know I've put her to sleep, but Joe Smith, it's actually really flattering that you'd, want to listen to me. It's all good, Chris. Thanks for the stream tonight. Yeah, I was really excited when Justin, started to stream tonight. A couple days ago, the maintenance man was talking about who's going to go live so we can join him tonight, things of that nature. And I really was just thinking that with SEMA coming up, I honestly don't know what I'm going to be able to put out, what I'm going to be able to do. A lot of things that I currently am working on, like I said, I'm going to have to put on a hold. I wanted to at least, give you guys something in the sense of I have all that Rockwell hardness data from the sockets and the flat wrenches and things like that. I just didn't know what to do with it. And, everybody's saying how soft the Icon sockets are. They're within spec. They technically, to me, they are a little on the soft side, but again, they're within spec. They're softer than a Snap-on. But yeah, the one thing I didn't mention, the Mac socket. I don't even know where that one was at. The Mac socket that I had, that registered, believe it or not, 40.5 on the Rockwell hardness. So they really were all over the board with what you would expect. And then they made up for it on what the sidewalls are. And so I really don't feel like the actual Icon socket is softer than it should be per se. I really just don't like the design on that back end where there's so much material removed. It just feels like it doesn't allow for the drive, we call it the flat spot there. If it was more square and had 100% contact, which the Snap-on socket gives us more of that, and so does that SK socket. It gives us more of a pure 100% contact from all corners. That little rounded out part on the exact opposite side is what seems to be kind of giving some stress on there. Breast band, let's see, best brand for me being a DIYer for impact sockets. Everybody's got their own opinion. I will say, as far as it goes for impact sockets, I think some of the cheaper brands are going to be perfectly fine. If you can go to home, if you can go to, like, for instance, like I couldn't pass up this set. This was, and I wish Masterforce made this in metric. This is a 10-piece set. I picked that up because it was on one of their like mail-in rebate specials, and I don't typically always go and do those, but I think that was like $6. You can't turn that down for $6. I couldn't get one cheaper at Harbor Freight than this. I don't typically own a lot of SAE, but for $6, I couldn't pass it up. So I really look and say, what is going to be the cheapest, best budgeted brand? I would say whatever's going to be best for your budget. It might be Pittsburgh. It might truly be Craftsman. It might be Masterforce. It might be a no-name brand. Whatever, even Sunex. I haven't checked out Sunex. I believe that it's a decent product. I've heard good things about it. Again, you just really have to check out. If you can find some good deals on it, pick them up. The Harbor Freight impacts are good. You just really have to, the one thing about the Harbor Freight ones are they do skip some of those sizes. So if you are OCD about like a complete size, you kind of got to take that one with a grain of salt. But you also got to know that you're probably not ever going to need the sizes that they're missing as a DIYer. You can then go out and pick up a single socket for the one you're missing anywhere else. I bought a Cobalt set. Yep, the Cobalt sets, the older ones, they were some good stuff. Let's see, we got it's a 01 GT, slow 4.6, 2-valve, but yeah, you can do an engine swap on that. But cheapest, best crap out if you go out of warranty. Senate makes a good master. They do make a good master set. I've seen that one. I probably do need to do a review on that, but I got to buy one before that. Joe Smith got booted from YouTube today. They say it was a mistake. Back now. Well, glad to have you back. Older Cobalt was made by Wright, I think. I don't know who actually made some of them. I want to say some of it was Armstrong, but I couldn't confirm that either. I never really, because Lowe's didn't come to my market until like 2.5, 3 years ago. I never really checked out Cobalt because it was literally like 75 to 90 miles away from me. So there never was a need to drive to a Lowe's, which is kind of unfortunate because they had some good deals. They had some good stuff. You're never going to need a 20 millimeter wrench or socket. For the most part, yes. I think there is some specific fuel filters, and is it GMC or Chevy? One of them uses a 20 millimeter on a couple things. I never thought I was going to need 11 millimeter, but then I found and met Ford. And then I found it in like two places on a Ford. And I was like, shoot, I never thought I was going to need 11 millimeter. And then I met Ford. So you really have to look at your application. So if anybody can comment what application they've seen the 20 millimeter in, that will really, really help you out. I can tell you on Ford, I've seen the 11 millimeter, and then they also on their radio for their dashes, I think they have like the 5.5 millimeter. So if your set misses 5.5 millimeter and you're going to do dash work and radio work on a Ford, you need a 5.5. I use 20 millimeter wrenches, sockets in a lot. Let's see. So Antonio will say, yeah, Ford uses the 11. Uh, Antonio, what do you use the 20 millimeter on specifically? Is it the Chevy? Is it GMC? Or maybe it's neither one of those. I think it's one of those though. 18 millimeter. Yeah, I can't remember when I've last used an 18 millimeter. See, that's why I think it would be fantastic for somebody to do like a YouTube series and call it like the socket stories or something like that, and literally go through the application that they used each size on. So like, somebody might say, I don't use a 28 millimeter, but 28 millimeter might have been used on a Mazda rotary engine or a Nissan of some sort. And go through those odd sizes and talk about those, or talk about the issues that they've run into with a certain size, that they've either broken the socket or they've broken the fastener or something like that, and literally just step through all the sizes. And then you literally link to, so you start at like 6 millimeter, 8 millimeter, and you do your video, and then you say, and stick around, and I'll have a link to the 9 millimeter, and then you do the 9 millimeter, and then you link to the 10 millimeter, and so on. You put it in a playlist, and you're good as gold. Ford also uses, yeah, they use a lot of different odd sizes. But yeah, so if anybody wants to do a socket stories or something like that, feel free to use that, because I've thought about doing it, but I just have not had time to go through all the different applications. And it really would be more one of those things that I'd really want to like collab with different people for different socket sizes, because each and every socket size is going to be used in a different application, and I'm never going to be able to use them all. So it would be neat to find somebody that, because I know one of those upper end sizes, if it's either the 27, 28, or 29, one of them's a Mazda rotary engine, another one's a Nissan. It just, to me, that'd be kind of neat. Have Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, TSC all within 7 miles, and a Harbor Freight is only 1 mile approximately. Well, I'm kind of jealous because I'm kind of like the opposite. So within a 2 mile radius, I now have Tractor Supply, Walmart, Menards, Home Depot, Lowe's, Advanced Auto, Napa, AutoZone, O'Reilly's, all within like literally like a 1 to 3 mile radius. And then I got to go 15 miles to get to Harbor Freight. And one of these days too, I got another one of those ideas like, where do you go after work, or what is your normal stop, or the things you visit after work, or on your way home? And it's literally like I have so many different places that I stop. My wife just finds it absolutely ridiculous about all the stops that, I'm like, I'll be home in 5 minutes, and then like 15 minutes later I'm like, okay, it'll be like 3 minutes now, and I've stopped at like 4 different stores. Yeah, 1 to 3 miles. Wow, that's a lot of good stores close by. It truly is. Like when Black Friday comes out, I probably won't do much of the shopping this year, but when I do, it's usually like at like 11 or so, and it's literally everything left over at Home Depot, Lowe's, and Menards, and it just happens. Chris, what will be your first Black Friday stop? I, you know, I really like to sleep in. I haven't had a chance to look at all the ads. I was thinking that, there's not a lot of times that I truly, truly ever could recommend the Inside Track Club at Harbor Freight. And I literally want to do a video on like the 5 reasons not to buy the Inside Track Club. And I still don't think you should buy the Inside Track Club, but I was kind of jealous that I saw that the Inside Track Club got all of the Black Friday deals the day before, so that Wednesday, because they're closed on Thanksgiving. Trust me, I'm not going to go out and purchase it because I truly don't need anything from Harbor Freight. But I thought that was kind of an interesting thing, and it made me want to think about getting a welder, but I just couldn't justify it. It's just easier for me to go over to Chris Jones's, use his stuff, or have him do it for me than to go through and buy one. But I really do want to get one. So that's on my list, but I don't think I'm going to be able to pull that one off. Other than that, it's probably going to be something left over at Home Depot and Lowe's. That's probably going to be my two things, but I won't go there till like 11 o'clock. And that's one of those things where if I don't go early, it's not worth it. The older I get, it's like, yeah, it's worth saving money, but it's also worth sleeping in. And if I go at 11 o'clock and something's there, then it was meant to be. Then it's worth it. I got to sleep in. If I don't go and it's gone, it'll be okay. Inside Track Club, let's see, I did that one year. It was more of a pain than anything. I never got the ad to see what was on special. Yeah, it's sad. Usually don't have the funds to shop Black Friday. It's not necessarily sad. It's not a bad thing. Hopefully you have everything that you need, Rodney. And again, I honestly, the last couple of years, like I said, I haven't gone out till 11 o'clock. And that's just purely in the sense that hopefully everything's picked over and then I don't have to get anything, or just basically look at it and say, if it's really, really good, then I'm good to go. And it was meant to be. Good to see you all. Go just got a service call. All right. Take care, Antonio. Best of luck, and hopefully everything works out for you on that service call. Let's see. Well, Andy, what would be your first stop? Because that would be interesting to know, because some of that stuff I'm going to actually, again, have to look at. We have been doing Thanksgiving night with a few select stops on Friday. Yeah, it's still having a 2.5-year-old. It's really kind of put the dampers on going out and doing some of that Black Friday stuff. I mean, a lot of times I get stuck with the kids, not going to lie. So I don't always get to go out. Maybe that's the other reason why I don't go out till 11 o'clock, because I get stuck with the kids. Have to see what the ads have to offer. Yeah, there's so many out there already. I mean, the Harbor Freight one got leaked, and I think Walmart or a couple other ones. I think they're all out there now. It's just unbelievable how quickly they dump out their recommendations for a long handle 1/4-inch ratchet. Comfort grip or non-comfort grip? Let me go get some of my collection of ratchets. Alrighty, so this is a fun one. So the Snap-on locking flex head quick release ratchet. Now this was one of my favorite ones. It still is, and I got to do a video on this one too, by golly. So literally, if you look at this thing, it looks brand new because it pretty much is brand new. I've used it like 6 times, and one of the pawls actually sheared. There. It doesn't rotate. Switch the direction, still locked up. It is locked up solid. One of the pawls actually sheared in here, and I didn't even put much force on it, and I have a rebuild kit for it, and I got to take care of that one. That one's not long handle. So this one, you can't get this anymore. You used to be able to get this at a couple local parts stores. This is a Performance Tools 11-inch, I think. This one wasn't too bad. This was like 110 tooth. I think it was like 19.99. This one wasn't too bad. It's long. Use this a couple times. It's not too bad for what it is. It specifically tells you on there, though, do not put over 48.75 foot-pounds. And I can tell you that that's pretty much accurate. So they're pretty good on their specs. If you use a tool right, you're not going to have too many problems. Then you got your big daddy here. This is your Snap-on. that's your most expensive one. Well, it is a good tool. It is very, very expensive. So I think that was kind of my thought here, you know, performance tools trying to knock off Snap-on. This one's really pretty good. If Tekton made a longer one, I really do like the Tekton product. It's not too bad. They don't make that comfort grip though, so that's kind of a bummer. And I didn't grab it, but I think Gear Wrench makes a pretty good one, and so does Matco makes a pretty good one. And I think that's about it. So if it was me and I didn't want to spend a bunch of money, I would probably go with the Gear Wrench, or I would go with the Performance Tool if I was really wanting to take a gamble. But the warranty is going to suck on that one if you break it. But I really can't tell you how bad it's going to suck. But I know that it's going to suck because I'm going to have to go to the manufacturer, which means I'm going to have to take longer. Oh, Carlisle. Yeah, I would have to look. Why didn't I have that one? Huh. Let me see where that one is. Oh, yeah. So there is the Carlisle one. I do have that one. See, and that's what makes me think, you know, this one is that Power Built one. This one is the Carlisle. Literally, they look a lot the same. This one's completely designed differently, but the head does have the same spot where you can take that off and pop it out. That anvil will come right out. So that's what makes me think that Power Built maybe made a couple of things for Carlisle, but this one isn't too bad. This is the locking flex, but I can tell you, well, this is a decent ratchet. This is kind of annoying for the, so, you know, the locking detent portion on there. You can bump that. So while that one is there, and you just kind of have to take that with a grain of salt. It does cut down your access area on that one. But that is a pretty decent one too, and that does come in comfort grip. And I don't think these are on sale right now, but these are like in the $40 range. So that's where it kind of takes me back and says your Gear Wrench might be your best bet on that one, which you can get on Amazon. But then again, you have to really look and see. There's a couple different places where you can warranty Gear Wrench. The Fastenal, I have one of those locally. They're really good for warrantying out the Gear Wrench. What do we got for things that I need to follow up on here? Gear Wrench, if you're into standard handles. Yeah, I was looking for a cushion button, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I mean, I do like the comfort grip as it gets colder, but then I always go back to my chrome. So it's really kind of a seasonal thing because it just gets so freaking cold. And by the time I'm wearing gloves, it doesn't really matter if I got a comfort grip on there, but not trying to pitch Pittsburgh Professional. I really do like these. They are just the right length. I think it's like 7 inches, give or take. And that full composite one, I've had pretty good luck with those. You just have to know that you can't really force it much more, because even on this, while you might be missing the full length on something like the Carlisle one here, you're really not. I mean, it's like an inch. You can literally put the same amount of force on this as you can, unless you really need that extra inch, that you would really stress the tool. I mean, you're not going to put over 48 to 55 foot-pounds on that. Hopefully not. I have a Win drill press, no complaints. Yep, I haven't had any complaints about Win either. Rodney looked used for, yeah, look for a used one. I got a bandsaw up there. I don't use it too much. Do you know anyone that that's tested Park Tools wrenches or ratchets? No, I have not. I have not even really looked at Park Tools. Isn't the Park Tools mainly geared toward bicycles? Yeah, maybe it is. I do not know. The Tekton 3/8-inch low profile ratchet is identical to the old Sears Craftsman 3/8 low profile. Low profile. You mean, hold on. This low profile? Is that the low profile you're talking about with the Craftsman? Or is there a different low profile? Because that one was, the USA made one of these, was, I believe it was a Armstrong design. Or it could have been a Danaher. I can't remember. I feel like it was more Armstrong though. But Danaher did a lot of that stuff too. But tell me if this is the one that you're talking about, because this one doesn't remind me of the Tecton. Because the Tecton low profile stuff really is only this stuff, because the other stuff that Tecton made like 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't think was very good. Just being honest. Now show us your collection of broken tools. I must tell you, warranty work is really, really great, because the only broken tools I really have left would be the Stanley one, and still kind of mad that that handle came apart on me, and the Pittsburgh one. I haven't had a chance to make it to do my Harbor Freight run, so that one's broken. I do have a I don't remember. I do have a pile somewhere else. The nice thing about it is that my wife actually does get a chance to do some of the returns for me as well. Where should I send my mailing address? Mailing address for what? Do you have a broken tool pile too that you need warranty things traded out? Let's see, unless I missed something in here. So Tailgate Tech, yeah, but they started making other tools. Joe Smith, yeah. Okay, I think I'm caught up. Oh, Rodney, you were looking for a good bandsaw. No, I don't really have one. I know the Craftsman that I have, it wasn't very good. Go to Home Depot's website, look up Tecton low profile ratchet. The second one that is on their list is a Tecton ratchet that is identical to that Craftsman. Really? Tecton low profile. Okay, so thankfully I know all the words in there. Sometimes at work, the guys try to like play one over on me, and they'll tell me to like look up certain words that I've never heard of. And that never ends up very good for me. Home Depot, we're going to check this one out. So I'd like to say that I've seen a lot of different tools, but one that looks like a Craftsman one I'm kind of interested in. I'm sure I've seen it before. Let's see what they're pulling up here. One. Huh. Yeah, that's got the reverse selector switch on there. And you know that stubby that's on there, where's that one at? Oh, that stubby looks kind of a lot like that Titan tool, except for they got 2 screw holes on that one. Huh. Yeah, I don't think I've ever really looked at that one. Actually, that's interesting, because the Tecton website doesn't have those. I just ordered the 18-inch long handle Tecton 3/8-inch drive. I have that one. So I can tell you that, and you know, Tecton can tell you this too if you look at their marketing material and whatnot. The ratcheting mechanism inside all of their 3/8-inch drive ratchets is the same throughout the drive type. So if you get the quick release, it's the same in the long handle as it is in the short handle, and vice versa. So they do have rebuild kits for both of those. And the ratchet that I tested was the 3/8-inch non-quick release. And so the performance that I saw on that short handle one should transpire or be very, very similar to the 18-inch long handle one as well. If you do purchase on Amazon, it's a little bit cheaper than if you go to the Tecton directly, but you get the cash back with the 10% from Tecton purchases. But if you're not ever going to make another purchase, or you don't know when you're going to make a purchase, then the Amazon to me is the best bet to go. So good choice. That extra inch, that's what she said, definitely. If you want Tecton, better to buy direct and get the 10%. Yeah, it is better in the long run, but it's one of those things that if you don't know when you're going to make your next purchase, I don't think they ever expire, but you just have to look at how much you're going to purchase. So, yeah, it was really nice when, oh, what was it? April. So if you were a new student or somebody enrolled in the trades, at the beginning of the year, you got like 30% off of Tecton products, and then they lowered it down to like 15 or 10% for trade students in April of this year, which, yeah, I've always wanted to do a video on that too, of all the discounts that are currently available to all students in the trade. I think that would be a good video. I think that'd be a good long lasting one. I did my homework on some of those. I just haven't had a chance to do the video. Just make sure to check it out first. If you can't get the blade, track it. My bandsaw that I have, I can't get it tracked right. It's an older Craftsman one, and the darn thing, just when I think it's on right, it comes off each and every time. I think I got a bad wheel and I need to get a new one. All right, well, guys, it's been almost 2 hours. We got about 5 more minutes and then we're going to wrap it up. I'm actually starting to get cold in the garage. But it's been fun. This was kind of one of those random, you know what, impromptu late night. We're going to go live. Can't believe it is almost 1:30 in the morning. Yeah, that is a major pain. Could be Brandon. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it is worn out. And it's kind of like it's an older Craftsman one. So by the time I try to get the parts, things like that, it's kind of like a crap shot. It's just sad that, back in the days, you used to be able to get a ton of parts and they were relatively inexpensive. And now it's like pulling teeth. And yeah, I don't know. We could talk about that all day long. I've tried to look for mower parts. It's atrocious. The way that Sears has gone. Sad stuff. Don't get me started on that one. That's probably why I've never fixed that thing. I don't know. I always think about it. I always got it nailed down and then it just won't go back. Okay, we won't post the link. Yeah. Here, if you want to post a link, we will see if I can throw out some blue wrenches here. Add as a moderator. Okay, there you go. Maybe Joe Smith. Tailgate Tech. We'll add you as a moderator. And Rodney, you're still in here. We'll add you as a moderator. Jason Meeks, we'll add you as a moderator or attempt to. All right. Park Tools. Spontaneous is good. Yes. Amy to the rescue. Chris needs warming up. Yeah, she's going to be mad. I was supposed to go help pack and do some laundry and other things. I was like, no, I got to go do this because, again, I got all that material for the Rockwell hardness testing. I have no idea how I'm going to put that together. I'm still really just thinking about it. If anybody's got any ideas, I don't know if I'm supposed to just I don't know. It's so hard for me to think about just talking and then showcasing a thing. I really like to do it hands-on, but it's literally so boring showing. It's like basically taking your socket, looking at it, lining up in the machine, pressing the button, thing goes down, makes a little dimple on it, it goes, and then it's pretty much done. Then I do that 3 times. It's not really fun to see that. So it's interesting. It's like you want to show enough in a video that you're proving that you're doing it accurate. But by the time you actually try to prove that you're doing it accurately, it's like 45 minutes. And you're like, crap, how do I cut back material and then still put out something that looks legitimate? And then you get something that ends up being 22 minutes. How do I go ahead and I break four ratchets and it's 22 minutes. I go ahead and break 3, what was it, 8 3/8-inch drive ratchets, and I get done in 16 minutes with that one. I don't know how it works out. Sometimes you just blab, 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 and some days you don't. We are driving to Omaha and then flying out of Omaha. So it's only like an hour or so to drive there. But yeah, we're definitely flying. It would not be fun to fly to Vegas. That would probably be, oh my gosh, wouldn't even want to imagine. That's probably got to be like 1,800 to 2,000 miles. That would be, oh, no. No, we're going to fly. I used to do laundry, but not anymore. My mom used to shrink all my clothes. I couldn't stand it. It was nice that she did them, but she would shrink all the clothes. I'm in Nebraska, Danny. Do you think the hardness testing is subjective since everyone has their favorite socket and won't really care if one is harder than the other? Eh, it's information nonetheless. You can take it with a total grain of salt. Um, it's all really relative. I mean, honestly, I didn't think that the SK Wayne socket that I've been using was going to come in at the softest out of all of them. So when I think about that in the sense that this one has stood up to the most amount of abuse, it does look like, it's been used a little bit, but it's still 100% functionable and still has some of the tightest tolerances out of all the sockets, and some of them literally haven't been used. So to think of something that literally is from like, I can't remember if this is from like 1963 or so, and it's been beaten to heck and is still within spec is just astronomical. And it's super soft. And then you have somebody that uses this and uses it a lot, but wears it out and it's harder. eh, But it depends on where you say that they wear it out. I think at the end of the day, I think the biggest problem is too much material removed from these corners on that socket. That's what I think the problem is. And it's interesting if I could continue to use the cobalt socket. And it's really hard to show that in this live stream, but the drill outs on this are actually a little bit bigger than the Icon one. But using this socket on the last torture test, I can start seeing where it's wearing. And if I continue to wear in the same pattern on there, it's going to start mushering out like I was using an impact on it. Might be a dumb question, but does the hardness fall off with age of use? It shouldn't. Um, yeah, it really shouldn't. It should just be hardened metal to the best of my knowledge, and it shouldn't really change much. Um, that's a really good question. I could ask maybe send an email to the the director. He's basically got a PhD in metallurgy and a bunch of other stuff, and he'd probably know that one because we talked about. And my brother, he's a material engineer as well, but I talked to my brother and this guy about the chrome on there, and it was not an issue. It's going to pierce right through that. Joe Smith, thank you. Have a good one. Gonna go ZZ. Yep, we all got to do that. Let's see. Cash reward expires in 2 years. Yeah, so that's good to know. I knew it expired. I didn't think it was a lifetime one, so that's really kind of relative. Let's see. I was sent to St. Louis to help them set up power lines. Yeah, that's right. I remember that. I drove one time from. It's just such a. Yeah, it's just too long. I've gone down to like somewhere in Texas. It took like 17 hours. We drove to Georgia. That's about 1,800 miles. That was, that's, that was one way. No, I don't know. It was a long one. I think it was 1,800 miles round trip. No, maybe it was 22. It was a lot. I don't want to do that again. It, it just wasn't worth it. I mean, you think about how much you get paid in one day, and then you're going to drive that. If it's going to be 24 hours, that's like 3 full work days, and you'd have to make that in 2 trips. Well, I could drive half and my wife could drive the other half, but then neither one of us, while we do stay up late right now, it's just driving in peace and quiet. It's kind of scary to be the only one driving if you don't do it consistently at 1 a.m. in the morning. My average drive to work is, oh, that is a long drive. Oh, 5 hours. Do you do that every day? Hopefully not every day. That's a lot. You couldn't do that every day. You go and then like you do your job for like 2 or 3 days, right? And then you come home. I couldn't remember. My drive right now is probably like 25 minutes, which is up from my prior one, which was like 7. But everybody's got a different commute. I am mobile, so I do that yeah, a time or two a week. Yep, yeah, I knew that. You go to on your site and it just depends. I drive 1.15. I'm very jealous. And my wife doesn't really drive very far at all. She literally takes the kids to school and then comes home. So it's like 6 minutes round trip for her. But she's got to do it one, two, 3 times, 3 times a day, which then it starts adding up if you think about it. And that's just if it's 100% no traffic and no waiting for kids because they're not late. So it's probably 10 to 12 minutes by the time she waits for the kids, get them in the car. She does that 3 times because she's got to drop 2 kids off in the morning. One of them's half day, so they get picked up at noon, and then the other one's full day. And then so yeah, it kind of adds up for her. I never thought about that. It's really interesting. Yeah. So you guys, made me think of a little bit about all the drives that you do, all the work that you do, all the work that my wife does. We should really be appreciative. In some senses, I'm really super appreciative that I can even have the opportunity to get up, to go to work, drive. Some of that is peace and quiet. Some of it's really stressful. I'm sure you guys have the same. I, for a while, did have like an hour commute back in the days, and it was really nice to unwind, but then it got boring after time. But it was really nice to just, have that silence. Everybody's a little bit different, but just be thankful that you have the opportunity to get paid because some people, are down and out in their luck. Other people just simply, aren't physically able to work. So, really thankful that you guys can do the work and hopefully you enjoy it. Not everybody likes what they do. I'm currently really liking what I do, and hopefully you guys are too. I'm going to go ahead and start to wrap things up here. It's been a long night. It's been a super long week. It's going to be a long week next week. We got to pack tonight, actually sleep, then get the kids all wound down. Grandma's going to come over Sunday morning, and then they're going to watch, grandma and grandpa are going to watch the kids throughout the week because we fly out Sunday and then we fly back Thursday night. So we're purely out there for business. We'll be with my YouTube stuff. It's not really business. It's more fun. I say business because we have to figure out all the receipts that I have to do for trying to do taxes on expenses and things like that. That's a fun project. But it's going to be a lot of work when I'm out there. Hopefully there'll be some good content. Let's see, I stay by the Midway a lot when I'm up there. You know what? I cheaped out and also had to cheap out because a lot of the stuff that was right there at the Las Vegas Convention Center was sold out. And I could stay in one of the murder shacks that were like, who knows what. And half of those were even sold out. And the closest thing, not everybody's going to like it. We're going to stay at Circus Circus. That's just what it is. It is what it is. It could be worse, could be better. I think some people were even going to stay at Fremont Street, but by the time you look at how long it takes to get from the Strip to the Fremont Street, it's a decent place. If I was going to stay in the Fremont Street and have that Fremont Street experience, I could do stuff just there. I like the low key, like that environment. The Strip's completely different, but they're both a good time. I just couldn't afford to eat the 45 minutes that it takes to get from the Fremont Street to the Las Vegas Convention Center. which is almost like an hour and a half if you're doing that. It just seemed like way too much time. So to me, the circus is what it is, but that's where we're going to stay at. Could be worse. Again, could be much worse. Hoping to start small business next year, doing some small woodcraft type projects to sell all craft fair or at a booth in town. You also got to look into the online things. So like Rodney, while I showcase tools, there's other people that do other things, whether it be with your cell phone or with a cheaper camera than that. The things that you do, and you're able to not only showcase your crafts, but then your business and the things that you do, like Tailgate Tech. He's a mobile tech. He's got his truck set up that works right for him, and it's easy for him to do his work, but then also do a YouTube video on that, and that might help somebody else. And it gets to be the best of both worlds. And as you progress in the craft that you choose, you're not only selling product, you're having people able to see your product on YouTube, and then you can put some notes in there and say, hey, if this is something that you're interested, you know, feel free to reach out to me. So you have to think of all the different things that you can do, and all your time, all your treasures, and all your talents, how you can basically get people to be visible and see the product. So make sure you're using all the tools around you and all the other online resources. Just it's super neat. You made the flag piece. Let's see. I own a telecommunication installation, but between working full time and being a Baptist minister, there is no time for me to take on extra side work. Totally agree with that. I mean, YouTube stuff is even for me, it's a struggle being, a full-time parent, working full-time, having 5 kids, and having a wife that loves me, and a family that cares for me, and still be able to see their dad. So that right there, I mean, as much as my wife's like, yeah, you go to Harbor Freight so often, or you go to this hardware store, or you go to this pawn shop, have you ever thought about working there? I'm like, have you ever thought about not seeing me? I mean, there is a thing on there that you have to look at your time, your treasure, your talents, and spending time with your family and the people and the things that really matter and that you care about. So, Andy, Tailgate Tech, thanks for joining the live stream. You have a good night. Everybody, like Tailgate Tech said, have a good weekend. A lot of really good people in here. If you haven't checked out some of their channels, please make sure you do so. I'm pretty much going to call it a night. The Mount of Olives with Gary. Thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule, all the things that you do with your ministry. That's just really amazing work. Rodney, best of luck in all the things that you continue to do. If you put your mind to it, you can definitely be successful. My YouTube channel, I started out with some really, really, really interesting things. Started out with a snowblower of all things that I did a video on, and it just went from there. So literally, if you put your mind to it and you put in a lot of perseverance and hard work, seriously, if you put all your effort in it, hopefully it won't go wrong, but hopefully you can do great things. We had, let's see, 281 New Edge. Thank you for joining the live stream tonight. Joe Smith, I'm sure that he pieced out a long time ago. Jason Meeks, I know he had a good one. Really appreciate you guys all tuning in. You know my saying, make sure you, what do you do? Always work smarter rather than harder. And I'll catch you in another video, on a live stream, something like that. And we'll see you guys all really, really soon. Have a good night. I got to figure out how to close this thing. Take care, guys.